Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Invest Tall, a podcast where a tall couple of newlyweds discuss all things investing.
In addition to talking about how we invest our money, we also want to talk about how we invest in ourselves and in each other as we begin our new lives married and working in Europe. Today will be a fun episode, I think. For those of you who are new, the way that our podcast is usually structured is we start out with the financial bit as it relates to investing. We move on to how we invest in ourselves and how we invest in our relationship. And today will be no different. But it'll be more of a story episode, I would say, on the back
a little
end.
story time.
Yeah. We want to talk about precious metals, specifically gold, and how the recent, volatility in the market has affected those prices. I think there's been a lot of headlines about precious metals and stuff. And we also want to talk about how it affected us as recently as a couple months ago when we were looking at wedding bands, engagement rings. So that's a story.
It's something you wouldn't necessarily think about, but I'm excited to talk about our engagement story too.
So stick around for that.
Yeah.
But first we're going to do a deep dive a little bit on just precious metals in general and how they relate to the economy. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Well, 2 weeks ago we had a little history lesson on the markets.
Yep.
And so this might be a little return to that vibe, but hopefully it's not too boring or too long. All right, let's get started. So as investors, you probably heard a lot about precious metals and investing in those and how it's a safe haven asset is what investors like to call it these days. But how did that start? When did it start? What designated gold as a safe haven asset? It goes all the way back to when our currency was gold-backed and gold-based. It was called the Golden Standard era. And it was basically the rule was that for every dollar printed, it was backed by gold. So one little piece or ounce of gold was directly correlated with every dollar the U.S. government had in circulation. We had treasuries like Fort Knox full of gold, and our whole economy, all the dollars were backed by that gold. Okay, that lasted until early 1900s. It was right after, I think, the First World War. So it was used right up until the First World War, and then right after that, there was a lot of instability in the markets, and the Great Depression happened, and we kind of had to abandon the classic gold standard that we had. And so after that, we went into this kind of weird period where there was a modified gold standard, and so the U.S. dollar was still attached to gold, but now an ounce of gold was worth $35 per ounce.
Okay.
So that was like the standard, and the government was holding gold to this amount.
Got it.
So $35 per ounce, that's what it was.
Yep.
Gold was not an asset that could just change its price.
Right.
It was $35 an ounce, and it was still tied to the U.S. dollar. Now, other countries started pegging their currencies to the U.S. dollar.
Right.
This effectively made the U.S. dollar the world's reserve currency. So we had reserve gold, but now other countries were pegging their currency to ours, and this just made the U.S. dollar the world currency, which was good at the time, but now is running into problems nowadays. Then we kept chugging along until, inflation keeps rising, but gold stays the same. A lot of other problems are happening. Cracks started appearing in this modern or modified gold standard system. So it led to a decoupling of gold from the U.S. dollar.
Okay. So it's like its own separate currency.
I think this was done by, which president? It was Nixon. Okay. Richard Nixon did this. A lot of other nations were doubting that the U.S. had enough gold to back all these dollars. And they're right, we didn't, because we were spending crazy amounts in the Vietnam War. And so countries like France started demanding their gold back and pulling it out of this U.S. system.
Got it.
It got to the point where our gold reserves were declining insanely fast. And so Nixon put a halt to that, said no more foreign countries can pull out their gold, basically. So this just...
And this is after...
This is like the 1960s, 70s.
This is after they kind of separated the two.
It was still together.
Oh.
This is what caused the separation.
Got it.
So then after 1973, gold now was decoupled from the U.S. dollar, and it was able to float freely, and its prices could go up or go down.
Okay.
Up until this point, it was artificially fixed at $35 an ounce. Okay.
Yep.
Fun fact: in October 2025, the year that we're in right now,
Yeah.
gold hit its highest price ever. Okay.
What?
Do you know what it? Do you know what it was at its
Like
peak?
per ounce?
Per ounce. So it was artificially fixed for years at
At
35 bucks
35.
an
Okay.
ounce. It just hit in October $4,380 per ounce.
What?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That's wild.
That just shows the inflation of gold over that period, but also the inflation of our economy in
Right.
general.
Yeah. I
Because
mean,
the
it's all
two are
correlated.
very intertwined. So just a little tidbit in there.
Wow.
Now we go back into the past.
Okay.
Following this decoupling,
Yeah.
gold prices skyrocketed. And like a bunch of things changed, interest rates changed, inflation control changed, the Federal Reserve in general started artificially changing a lot of things with the U.S. economy while it was still the global reserve currency. But now gold was its own thing. So now today it is shifted into more of an investment asset.
Yep.
And it's called a safe haven stock. So how it affects the markets today is when we are in bearish markets or the market is in turmoil, investors flock to gold. Because it's a safe haven asset.
Right.
It's a tangible thing that is worth a certain amount of money.
Right.
And it's not correlated to the US dollar anymore. It's not.
And it's clearly just always pretty much gone up. So
yeah, and changes
obviously
a lot.
fluctuation.
But if you look at a lot more people are investing since the 1970s. Retail investors, hedge funds, stuff like that, 401ks, all this stuff is happening. But if you look at the S&P 500, which is the traditional benchmark of the markets, if you look at the years that basically the S&P 500 has outperformed everything or gold has outperformed everything, they don't correlate. There's not a direct correlation, which is kind of cool. So gold does well when the S&P does poorly. S&P does well when gold does poorly.
Own entity.
Yes. So recently, in October 2025, a bunch of hedge funds and investors started buying up tons of gold because there was a big craze around it. The price was going up and the markets were volatile. So they went there because it was safe, correct? So that's why the price hit record highs. But just like any stock that all of a sudden has a bunch of buzz around it, it sometimes gets too many people into it and then kind of trails off. So that's what happened with gold. Right now it's down to just under $4,000 per ounce. But over the last year in 2025, it has been trending upwards and upwards and upwards and upwards as the market gets more and more volatile. So this year definitely outperformed the S&P 500. In past years it hasn't outperformed the S&P 500 in a while. But it increases with inflation. So that's gold today. Now, how that relates to precious metals in general, like whenever gold goes up, pretty much everything else does in that sector. And the way you can invest in gold is very interesting.
How does that even work?
In the markets, there are mining companies. They'll mine gold, they'll mine other precious metals, and you can invest in those companies. And a lot of times, hedge funds will use these mining companies as a way to invest in gold. You can do that, or you can actually invest in companies that directly buy gold. So physical ounces or bars of gold, you can invest in that too. That's one way to do it. For investors like me and you, we don't actually want to go buy bars. We can invest in a stock that buys gold. Another way that companies make money trading precious metals is they don't work with any of the tangible assets of like gold or silver or palladium or platinum, these precious metals. They instead buy and sell futures contracts on these precious metals. So it's artificially driving growth of these metals and kind of betting that market.
So that's closer to a lot of the intangible, like digital art investment things that people have been making with like AI, and selling. I guess that's a form of investing, right? Yeah.
There's like also Bitcoin now is NFTs.
NFTs,
Yeah, those are kind of dead as of right now.
Yeah, but like there was like a big craze. Yeah, that was what, like 2022?
People are trying to say that Bitcoin is now a safe haven asset.
Really?
Because it's more similar to gold maybe than it is to like
NFT?
a normal stock. Not an NFT, but like a normal stock.
Got it.
Because gold acts like different than the stock market, kind of separate. Even though you can invest in both. Same thing with crypto. Crypto is a currency, but it acts kind of like a stock sometimes where investors will put money in it and watch their money grow magically almost. And it's decentralized. So people want to say and want to view crypto and gold in the same breath as safe haven assets, but it hasn't worked that way since Bitcoin has been a thing. I mean, when the stock market goes down, Bitcoin also drops, and it's not like gold where it'll hold its value real well or
and
go
it's
up.
Just much, just a tangible thing compared to Bitcoin or just anything new that people are digitally creating
for sure
as assets.
These precious metals are bought and sold, one, because they're pretty and they're cool and people use them in jewelry, but also there's industrial uses for all these things.
Right.
Silver has a very interesting one because it's used dually as both a precious metal that's worth a good amount of money on its own, and also it's used in a bunch of industrial settings. So the price of those, when demand is high, when supply is low, for the industrial side will still drive up silver, but maybe no one cares about, maybe the inflation of how much it costs won't, be the same when it comes to jewelry, things like that. Same thing with uranium, even like these rare earth minerals, like when nuclear power is high in demand, uranium prices go up a lot. And companies that invest in uranium.
Have you ever been to a gold mine?
I never have. Have you?
I went and visited like a mining shaft in Colorado. And that was insane. Just seeing how they are going up into like the smallest crevices. I could never do that. And they're there for hours and hours. And I'm freaking out and I'm just on a little tour. And obviously everything's like, they've made it safe enough where people can tour it. But I can't imagine.
I wouldn't want to be a miner. Coming to us and how it relates to our story, we experienced this drastic shift recently in the markets to buying gold as a safe haven asset because I bought Sitori's engagement ring. Let's show it real quick. Aww. Beautiful. We'll zoom in.
I love it.
I bought Sitori's engagement ring. How long ago was that? A year and a half ago?
I don't know exactly when you even bought it, but
I bought it in I want to say May, so let's say like a year and a half. Okay, a year and a half ago, I went in, looked at gold, and I knew Sitori wanted a gold band. Yeah. She didn't really care about the actual metal as much, but she wanted the color to be yellow gold. Yeah. Could have been white gold, yellow gold. She wanted it yellow gold.
Honestly, I didn't even know that it was technically yellow gold. I just would like see a picture and then.
Yeah, she had her little Pinterest board, and I would look at it, and it was all yellow gold. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna get yellow gold. And didn't want to skimp on her or anything like that because weddings are fun and engagement rings are cool. So I went in looking for a diamond and looking for a yellow gold band, and luckily she wanted a pretty thin yellow gold band, so it wasn't like too expensive or anything. But I remember the jeweler at the time mentioning to me like, oh yeah, gold prices recently have been like pretty bad, so it's smart for you to lock in this price now and to purchase it now instead of putting it on hold and waiting to make the decision, because sometimes if you wait for a couple of weeks, I've seen it where the price of the gold band goes up by like $100, $200. And she said this to me, and I was like, that's a sales tactic.
Yeah, that's obviously what I would have thought too.
So I thought it was a sales tactic, I didn't fall for it, but eventually I did buy the gold band from this jeweler, and the price did not change, did not go up. It was a short amount of time, less than 2 weeks, I would say, before I made a decision. Yeah. That was my first run in. Fast forward past the engagement, me and Sitori are planning the wedding, and we're looking for wedding bands. So we go to our first jeweler. Yep. And they say the same thing. They say that if you wait too long, they've seen it recently with a lot of couples, where if they wait like 3 weeks, the price all of a sudden jumps up by $300 because of the crazy volatility in gold prices.
And that was just was that just for gold? I thought she had mentioned it was. Okay. Yeah. Because I heard her say that, and we went to 2 different jewelers. At the first one, she mentioned something about it, but wasn't like using it really to be like, hey, you should buy this now. But then we went to the next one, and she was telling us all the prices, and she said just even from the day before to the day that we were there, it had gone up like, what was it, $50?
Something like that.
Or like something that was pretty crazy. And she was saying that this could happen by tomorrow. And obviously that is a good sales tactic that they can use to like leverage it.
It worked on us.
Yeah. But we were like, oh, we didn't even think about that, And Parker didn't know exactly if he wanted gold in the first place on his wedding band, but he found one that he really liked.
I was very much like, I don't need real gold in my wedding band. Like, let me just get something cheaper.
Yeah.
So ended up getting real gold though. But we can get into that. But we went to this place, and she said that the jeweler at the place told us a story about gold prices, how volatile they are, and said we can actually put this on hold for you. If you put a down payment down, we can put it on hold for you. That way it locks in the price. You can take your time, maybe check out some other places, and then pay the rest of the amount at a later date. But this at least locks in the price. The gold price doesn't swing volatilely. It turns out we ended up not getting that ring. We took our down payment back, which they were really nice about. They credited it back to us in full.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So that was really nice. So we ended up going with a different place.
Yeah.
But I actually got part of my ring in gold and part of it in cobalt. And cobalt is another one of the precious metals that has huge price swings as well, especially when it relates to gold having price swings, because these precious metals kind of follow gold in a sense. That was back in, when did we buy these rings? We went and bought these wedding bands in May of 2025. And we're hearing about all gold prices and stuff. And I regret it now looking back. Hindsight is 2020, but I should have been like, oh, gold prices are increasing drastically. You can invest in gold. It's a safe haven asset. Obviously, these prices are being inflated. Why is this happening?
Yeah.
If I was a smart person, maybe I would have put some money into gold at that time, and we could have sold it at the peak in October. It would have been great. But you know what? I didn't do that because I wasn't very smart. But I feel like we heard about this volatility in gold and the drastic increase before the markets did.
Yeah.
Because I didn't see any news stories about it or anything until gold hit that $4,000 mark at the beginning of October. And then I started seeing all these news stories about gold and blah, 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 safe haven asset this and market volatility. And all of a sudden, all this money from retail investors are pouring in. They're buying with the news. Gold shooting up to $4,300. And at that point, I'm looking at this going, there's no point in investing in this now. Because it's already, everyone knows about it. It's at the peak. And you know what? I was right, because right after it hit that peak, it's November now, it dropped significantly. Not a ton amount, it's still up over the year. But gold did go back down.
Doesn't mean it's going to not keep going up.
It will keep going up. But you don't want to buy the peak of that. But anyways, I feel kind of dumb for not maybe thinking about buying it, even considering it back in May. But I just think it's a funny story.
Yeah, it is. And it's not like you're buying gold every day unless you're like in that market. So it was just an interesting thing to hear about as we were purchasing our rings.
For sure.
It's cool how it involves investing. And that kind of brings us to our next section, I think. Right? Unless you had...
I was going to ask you one more question.
Okay.
Do you think with the market volatility, you would feel more safe if we added some precious metals to our portfolio?
I mean, after hearing all this stuff, yeah, because I didn't know as much before about precious metals and gold and everything. And it's interesting because when I picture gold and like investing in that, it feels like something that would not be safe at all. Because I feel like it's something that's like, oh, come trade in your gold. Like, that's when I only see it, of like people trading in jewelry and that just feels, for cash. And that just feels not as safe to me. But it is such a constant and a tangible thing that it makes sense on why it's seen as a safe haven. So I think it would be smart.
Yeah, money's been tied to it in the past.
Right. Yeah.
And now that it's loose, it's still like a huge economic driver and factor.
Right. So yes.
Something to consider.
Yeah, well, all this ring talk brings us to our next section, which is we're going to talk about our engagement story. We record a lot of different times in our life and little moments and stuff. And this is such a big moment, but we only have pictures of it. So I don't know. I feel like it's just special because it's literally just a memory that we can only talk about, and my brother who was there watching. So.
And why is that? That's because I'm the one who had to plan it and not Sitori. Otherwise, there would be a lot of videos.
That is true, yeah. But I'm glad that it happened this way because it feels even more special, I think.
You should start from the beginning. Back in, what year was that? You turned 21.
So I turned 21 in 2023? Yeah. Well, that's weird.
That is weird.
I don't know. But back in 2023, Parker and I had been dating for, what?
5 years.
5 years at this point. And I had always kind of like brought up that I wanted to marry Parker. Like, I just knew it.
Yeah, we both
and
did.
We both knew, because we had, been together since high school and college, everything. And it was my 21st birthday, and I don't exactly remember how it came up, but I told Parker that I would have gotten engaged on my 21st birthday.
What you actually said to me was...
I would say, what was it exactly?
This is the night of her 21st birthday we're celebrating, and like in America, we're in Europe now, so it's weird, but in America, when you turn 21, you're allowed to drink.
Yeah.
So Sitori was able to have her first ever drink.
My first ever drink.
Her first ever drink when she turned 21, and so we were talking that night, and she said, Parker, it's always been my dream since I was a little girl to get married when I was 21 years old. That's what she said to me.
Wow.
Very serious. Looked me down in the eyes and said this. And my first reaction was like,
I don't know if I said it was my dream, but
you did.
I really wanted to get married when I was 21. And I looked up to my parents a lot. Not that you have to like set a time or date on these things, but we had been dating for however long, and I think we would have been ready even at that younger age.
Because when did your parents get married?
My parents got married when they were freshly 21.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always like, "Ooh, we can beat them."
Yeah, Sitori wanted to beat her parents. Basically, like in my head, she said to me, "You have a year. You have before I turn 22 for us to get married." And I was like, "What?" This is why we're still in college, obviously.
Yeah.
So
I didn't say that, but that's funny that you took it like that.
Yeah, and so my first reaction was just to laugh and kind of say, "Oh, that's great, but yeah, I'm not ready for that. We're gonna."
We were still young, so I didn't really.
And we hadn't
I wasn't
talked
gonna
about it too much or anything. She never pressured me. But her bringing that up, it got brought up again throughout the year a couple times. And I told her multiple times, like, hey, I'm not in any position to propose to you right now.
Yeah.
And I, maybe if I would have been thinking about that well before her 21st birthday, it might have happened. But no, I just was not prepared at all.
Mm-hmm.
And these things can take a little bit of time.
Yeah.
So I unfortunately had to let her down. I did not propose to her, and we did not get married before she was 22. So that kind of stunk. But that was the first time that I think I first like really took it seriously, and I was like, oh man, I gotta get on top of this, because for me, I was like, oh, she kind of like wanted to do this and was expecting this and ready for it at 21, and I wasn't. Mm-hmm. So I had to do some self-reflection to see where I was at in the whole thing. And I think that kind of sped things up on my end, where I would have probably just been like a dumb, young man and procrastinated and like not really thought about my future and my feelings and things like that. So
yeah, I think that happens a lot too.
Yeah, still does.
Yep. I think it does. Chronologically, that brings us to you, because you're the one that bought the ring.
Yeah, so yeah,
that was probably like the next part of the engagement.
Yes, we were finishing our senior year of college, and we at this point we both knew and had decided that we were coming back for a 5th year. We're gonna get our master's degrees and play one more season of volleyball on my end, basketball on her end. Yep. I knew this. I'm thinking of my future. I'm thinking of where we're gonna be post college. I'm thinking of what I want to do, what she wants to do, goals, things like that. And it came to a point where I realized that I had known for a while that I wanted to get married to Sitori, and I had known that it needed to happen, and I was like, let's figure out when the best time for this to happen would be.
Yeah.
And so I kind of just came to a decision right at the beginning of 2024. I was like, oh, I need to propose to her now. I was like, it's got to happen now.
Yeah.
And this will give us the most options going forward, because once you propose, there's no rule that says you have to get married the next year. There's no rule that says you have to get married in 2 years. You can get married whenever. So I said, we'll propose, then we can talk about when to get married, and all this stuff. But I need to get on top of this thing right away. So that was my mindset going in. Sitori knows I'm bad with big decisions like this. But the weird thing about this one was it was so like sporadic and easy for me to make. It's like it did not require that much thought from me at all, which is like wild.
I gotta do this.
You know how bad I am with decisions.
Yes.
Like, it takes forever.
Yes.
And so this was like just such a. I called my dad one day. I was at college. I called him. I said, "Hey, could you just like?" I was like, "Could you just tell me real quick, like, how to go about like buying a ring? Like, I know you do this for mom." And I was like, "This is the first time I'm ever talking to anyone about this."
Oh my god!
I just called my dad and I was like, So how do you go about doing this? What do you think I should do? Also, like, how much did your ring cost that you got, mom, and all this stuff? Because I'm in college. I'm playing men's volleyball. Like, I'm making no money. I got nothing in the bank account. I was like, what is this gonna like cost me? So I needed to figure out how much of my bank account could go towards this ring, all this stuff. So my dad, so taken aback, he was like, "Are you thinking of proposing soon?" Like,
that's
he was like,
how
what?
You brought it up to him.
I brought it up in such a weird way.
Oh my god!
And so he was like, okay. So he just went into like the thing. He just went into his little spiel right away.
Yeah.
He didn't help me at all. Like, he was like, Parker, this was so long ago when I bought your mom's ring. Nothing's the same. You guys have lab-grown diamonds now. I know nothing about this stuff.
Yeah.
This is how much it cost me back then. But like, who knows what it costs you now? And also, he at the time had a job and had been working for a couple of years. They got married when they were 30. We're getting married when we're 20. Like, it's like a lot different. Right. I got no money, all this stuff. So, but then he realized I was talking about rings, and he was like, oh boy, like, this is serious. And I remember when I called him, it was just a like general inquiry. Yeah. And then, but after my conversation with him, I was like, okay, it's time to lock in. This is serious.
Oh, really?
So I was getting hip surgery. Whenever my season was done, I was getting 2 hip surgeries in May and June of 2024 in the summer. And I knew this. So I actually went home to get some scans and prepare for surgery before Sitori did. Like, I was home for a little bit. I was
still at school at this point?
I think so. I went home, and I remember Sitori was not in Madison, but her parents were in Madison somewhere.
Oh, you know what? I think I was up at the cabin.
It could have been. Anyways, just the point is Sitori was not in Madison. So I went home. I went back to Madison, and this was right before my hip surgeries. And I was like, I got to go find a ring. So I, in one day, visited, I think, 4 jewelry spots in Madison. Boom, 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 boom. First one I went into knowing zero. The fourth one I walked out of feeling like an expert. I talked to these people for like an hour each. No.
So you literally just like, went in blind? Yeah. Well, like, you knew pictures.
I had a Pinterest board, and I went in there.
Oh my gosh.
And so all these people helped me. They were great. I felt like an expert walking out of all these places at the end of the day. Yeah. Then I reached back out to 2 of them to maybe go a little further because I liked their rings more or their prices more, whatever it was. Narrowed it down to 1, said, boom, this is the one I want to work with. We made a little custom mock-up of what I wanted, and she showed me all these different cuts and pieces that we had. I decided to go with a radiant cut because there were a couple radiants on her Pinterest page, but there were a couple of emeralds too. But I was like, I think the radiant sparkles more, looks a little bit better. Let's go with that one. So she goes, okay, we're going to have to order this. It's going to have to come in. You're going to have to look at it, make sure you like it, and then we'll make the ring. So I said, okay, to get the diamond ordered and come in, it's going to take 2 weeks. Sounds good. So at this point, Sitori's back in Madison. She doesn't know I've done any of this.
Yeah, it's crazy that I literally had no idea that, like, we're with each other so much. Yeah. Was that, like, so hard to...
I had like 2 days to do this all.
I guess you had like surgery and like everything else was probably distracting you.
I had to go in after my surgery. Because if that was me,
I feel like I would want to be telling you right away. Like, oh.
Yeah. Anyways, so I had a short period of time where Sitori was gone. Sitori comes back. We're doing all this stuff. And I remember I bought something on Facebook Marketplace like an hour away. And so we were going to go on this.
AC unit.
Yeah, I bought an air conditioning unit. And so we had to go an hour away to pick this up. We're talking about stuff, and it comes up naturally, the concept of rings and her Pinterest board and all this stuff. And it was naturally. Like, I was trying my best not to tip her off. But anyways, I asked the question. I don't even know, like, this is crazy that she didn't get tipped off. But I asked about the emerald to radiant difference.
No, I do remember being like, wait, how does he know? Like the difference of like cuts. I didn't even know what you were talking about. But
She's
then again,
dumb.
No.
Like,
then again, Parker just like knows random stuff like that. And obviously he knew I wanted to get engaged at some point. So I was like, maybe he has looked at rings.
Yeah. I think I even told you that like I had looked at stuff, but I hadn't done anything. And you just weren't expecting it. I don't know. I don't know what my excuse was, but I asked about it. And we're looking through her Pinterest board, and she goes, oh, yeah, no, yeah, like, I just put these on because I like the shape, but no, not a radiant. I definitely want an emerald cut. Like, I was like, are you sure? Like, the emerald, the radiant, I think, like, sparkles more, has more facets, and it reflects the light better. And she goes, absolutely not. Like, no, the emerald cut is what I want. It looks beautiful. And I'm sitting there in the car as we're driving home, and I'm going,
You're like, I
I just
just
ordered
bought.
a diamond. Pretty good size.
Oh, I feel so bad. If I would have known, I probably would have just been like,
No, this is so good that you didn't know, because then I could actually give you the right ring.
yeah,
Anyways,
true.
I called my lady at the jeweler the next day, and I was like, cancel the order. So we canceled it. Had to go back in to look at emerald cuts now. So I went back in, looked at emerald cuts.
You're like, oh, this
And
again.
so I went through the whole thing again.
Oh my gosh.
Turns out it was great. They had in stock a slightly bigger diamond in an emerald cut for the same price as the radiant I had previously bought.
Yep, I
So
remember
she
you
actually ended up
saying
getting a
this.
bigger diamond by saying no to my first one unknowingly. So that's pretty cool.
That is.
But she was like, okay, we're going to order this one. It's going to come in. You're going to look at it. I said, perfect. So sorry about the last order. Please order it. It'll come in. It'll look great. So I get surgery, and the diamond comes in, and I have to go inspect this thing before they put it in the ring. And I can't drive. My right hip was in a full, like, it was puffed up, swollen. So I had to stay away from Sitori for like an hour or two throughout the day at some point, and my mom had to drive me in. And my mom had no, like, she knew I was looking at rings, but this was her first time interacting with the jeweler, looking at the rings, seeing all this stuff. So she loved it. So she drives me to this place. I'm on crutches. I crutch in. They're like, Parker, what's up? I look at the diamond, and I'm like, no.
Really?
I was like, I don't like this one. Like, just the way that it looked, and I thought I could see like specks in the inside. And I
like
remember
dirt?
Yeah, like, and the jeweler was like, you must have a really good eye, because she put it under a microscope. She was like, there is like slight imperfections that you might be able to see. And I remember being like, I don't know if I was seeing that, but I just remember being like, there's like, I don't know. And it's just an emerald cut. That's exactly what Sitori wants. But I was just like, it looks a little dirty to me. It's not as clear. The coloring is a little off. All this stuff. I said, send it back. We need a new one. So I changed the diamond again.
What? Wait, I didn't know this part.
You didn't? The third diamond came in.
Oh my god.
And I crutched in again on my hip. And this is right before I got my second hip done. So crutched in, looked at it. I said, that's the one. Put it in the mold. Let's get it going. Wow. So they put it in the band. I decided all that stuff. And that's the story of how I bought that ring. And then I sat on it for, it took like 6 to 8 weeks to like make. And so once I got it, I was like, wow, that looks great. And then I had to sit on it and hide it from Sitori in my house. Every time she came over, I was like,
it was in your house?
Oh yeah. So at one point you came over, you were laying on my bed, and it was underneath my bed.
Oh my god.
Like, it was right under you. And I remember looking and being like, this could be bad.
I mean, I don't know why I would be looking.
If she drops her phone and she has to, like, reach over the bed and grab it, and she sees a little box there, I was like,
oh my god.
I was freaking out. So I hid in a different place after that.
Since Parker was getting his surgery, he wasn't going to be out in California for volleyball stuff. So, and he hadn't been up to the cabin in a long time.
Yeah.
And I remember I was always asking him, or I knew that we should make a plan to go to the cabin. And I think you had brought it up too.
Her cabin is northern Wisconsin. Her family has a little cabin up there, and it's in the same city that her grandparents live in. So that's what she's talking about.
And so we scheduled a trip to go up to the cabin, just us two, which we had never done that before. But
we've been talking about it for like 2 years of like, let's just the two of us go to the cabin one time without like the whole family.
Yeah. Did you, like, that was...
It was all planned out, yeah.
So you must have known for a long, like, before.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh. So, anyways, I didn't think anything of it at that point. Of, we were just gonna take a little trip up to the cabin for a couple days.
We were gonna be there for 2 days alone, and then her parents were gonna join us up there for like the next.
Because usually my parents come with us, but they were gonna let us just have the cabin to ourselves. Anyways, we drive up there. The drive up was so fun. I remember we stopped at a little cafe, got coffees there, some food. We get up there and we decided to go for a little swim. We just hung out, and then we went to A&W.
There's no food in the cabin, and I was getting hangry.
Yes.
And also very nervous. And so we had to go get food.
Yeah. And then this whole time we were planning to go out on the pontoon and hang out with my grandparents and then go to dinner with them. So, and we were going to like one of the nicest places for dinner in the town where my cabin is.
This was planned out.
Yeah, this was all planned out. I really have no idea.
Because I needed her to be dressed up.
Yeah. Because like if I'm going to the cabin, I don't dress up that much.
Never.
Unless we're going to a fancier restaurant, which we do go to sometimes. Funny part is that literally the day before we went up to the cabin, I went to Target with my mom. We were just shopping around. I saw this dress and went and tried it on in blue, and I loved it. And I was like, oh my gosh. And my mom was like, oh, you need to get that. And then I tried it. There was another color, and it was like this cream white. And I had just bought those dresses. I was like, oh, this will be perfect. I can bring this to the cabin and wear it to our dinner date with grandma and grandpa. Or like, I think that's kind of how I just knew that I would probably wear it at some point if Parker and I were going on a little cabin date. Anyways, so we get ready for dinner and we're going to go on the pontoon. It was like cloudy and rainy though, but I was still excited to go on the pontoon. My grandma texted me and she's like, all right, we're here. Like, come meet us down at the dock. We walked down there and I'm like waiting for them to come around the bend, you know, on the pontoon. And Parker comes over and he's like, here, like, let me take your jacket. And I was like, okay.
She's holding, like, she's at the end of the dock and she's holding a purse, her phone, I was like, jacket in her arms like this. And I was like, okay, I can't get down on my
I had no idea what was going on.
And I was like, let me hold that for you.
Yeah. Because it was like cloudy and not, I don't know. It was cold. I knew I was going to need a jacket. He came, asked for my jacket, and then brought it over and set it on the ground. And I was like, what is he doing? Like, I can carry that. Like, they're about to be here on the pontoon. What's happening? And then he comes over and he gives me a hug. And as I hug him, I like feel his heart on my hand and it's pounding. And I'm like, okay, what is happening right now? Like, I think I was like, are you okay?
Yeah,
I literally asked him, I was like, are you okay? And then right as that happened, he started talking and was like, I've been wanting to do this for a long time. And like, do you remember what you said?
No, I think I said, I love you so much. Yeah. And like my voice was shaking a little bit. And I think you said right after that, that's what tipped you off as to like something weird was going on. Yeah. Happening.
Well, right as I felt your heart, I was like, oh, all the things started to add up. And then I was like, I remember having a realization of like, oh my gosh, is this happening right now? Like, is this actually happening? Oh, and then you were so excited to just kneel down and
get out of there.
I remember after you were just so, you were like, I'm so glad that's over.
I'm so glad it's over.
He kept repeating that because he was so nervous. After he gives me the hug, then I was holding my phone still because you didn't grab my phone. And I realized like, oh my gosh, he's proposing. So I go to set my phone down. Yeah. So I'm like, I don't want to be holding my phone as this is happening. And then he kneels down and right as he opens the box, like it still wasn't fully registering because it all kind of happened so quick. And then I saw the ring and I was like, oh my gosh. I just remember I was just so in shock and happy and oh, it was so great. And then you said, will you marry me? And I said yes.
She didn't say yes.
Yes, I did. He keeps saying that I didn't say yes, but
he went, oh my goodness.
Also, the biggest reason that I didn't think it was going to happen for a while still was because he just had his hip surgery. And
it's kind of hard for me to kneel down, low-key.
I would say, did you feel it?
Yeah, it's hard to get up, actually. Kneeling down wasn't too bad.
And then as that's happening, so I'm like shaking as he puts the ring on. And I remember he was like, don't drop it in the water. Because we're on a dock. Like, you could have easily dropped it in. And we're both just like freaking out, shaking. And then he points over and I look and it's my brother. And he's like off in the distance in the bushes with his camera, all in camo. And he was taking pictures. And I was like, oh my goodness. So
Yeah, I got the pictures. Got a photographer for free. Thanks. Shout out
Yeah,
Elliot.
shout out Elliot for those pictures.
And then after that, we hopped in the car,
Yep.
and I said, "Oh, we got to go to. You said, we're gonna meet your grandparents at this little bar
Yeah.
right next to her
Well, also the
house."
thing right after it happened, I thought we were still going on the pontoon. Like I
Yeah,
thought that was still
yeah.
part of this plan, and
Like
I was
Elliot came, and she's like, "Oh,
yeah.
you're coming with us on the pontoon."
Yeah.
It's like, no, there's no
There's
pontoon.
no like that was all
There's a
just to get
setup.
me onto the dock, which was actually so smart.
Yeah, I just needed to get her on the dock so we could do like cool pictures, and it was a
Yeah.
good place to propose because like I was gonna do it
Yeah.
inside the
Yeah.
cabin. I don't know. I just wanted
I don't
a
know.
nice scenic
But it was
place.
very special, and Parker knows the cabin's my favorite place on earth,
She's
really.
always said
So
that, and so it was kind of like a no-brainer for
yeah,
where to propose.
like a 2 minute drive
2 minutes.
over to where we were going just to celebrate, have some drinks, and get some food with my grandparents. And I remember like tearing up in the car and just like thinking about what had actually just happened. And we got to this bar and we walk in. My parents are there, Parker's parents are there, and some of our family friends are there. And it was like a whole celebration and another surprise of the whole engagement. So,
And so we took some more pictures of
yeah,
like with the
just down on the
family
dock.
down by the
And
water, and
I called my teammates, my
yep,
friends back home. And
got to do the FaceTimes with
yes,
everyone
that
and all
was so
that.
fun.
So
And it was sad because Tavy, my sister, wasn't there. But I remember calling her, and then we ended up going to dinner still at the restaurant, the fancy restaurant, and there was the most beautiful sunset. My grandparents got us a cake,
sunset
and
was good.
yeah, the food was so good.
I got the cake. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
great.
they got us a cake and everything,
Perfect day, huh?
and oh my gosh, so such a perfect day,
So yeah,
almost as perfect as our wedding day.
from my perspective, this obviously started a long time before this with the buying of the ring.
Mm-hmm.
But the last piece for me was to meet with her dad, get the final blessing, which is
Yep.
super nerve wracking, almost as bad as actually like proposing to her. But I met with her dad, and I did it in a way where he didn't know what I was doing, and like wasn't
Mm-hmm.
very prepared for this question. So that was good on my part because I didn't want him to like know beforehand.
Yeah.
But he gave me his blessing. I talked to her mom. She gave me her blessing, which was great. Not that super nerve wracking, but we figured that one out, and that
Yeah.
was the hardest part actually not to tell Sitori about because like she
Yeah.
knew I was having lunch with her dad
I
downtown
know.
Chicago for like a work thing, but she didn't know anything else. She was like, how was lunch?" And I was like, "You don't even know." But I said, "Oh, it went great. We just talked business stuff for like an hour."
I
And
was
she was
like,
like,
oh, they're both
"Cool."
yappers. I'm sure they just yapped away
Yeah, we
for
both love
forever.
talking. Fast forward, I set everything up, but I'm super nervous about the weather. The weather is a big like factor here because like if it's raining on this day, then
Yeah.
obviously we're not going to go on a pontoon ride. So
Mm-hmm.
super nervous about that. It's raining the day before, and I'm like, oh. But we get there, it's not raining. I remember
Mm-hmm.
the whole day I'm fine, 5 hour drive. But once we went to A&W,
That's when it hit you.
it hit me so hard. It was like 2 hours before I was going to propose. We go to A&W, and I have zero appetite. And I get this food, and Satori, like usually I would scarf this stuff down.
Yeah.
I don't want to eat it. I have to force it down. I'm freaking out. We go back. I had told her mom, like, hey, make sure her nails are done. So her nails are done and everything, been done like 2 days before.
Yep.
We go back. She looks at me and she's like, I was like, you got to get dressed to go to this dinner with your grandparents and the pontoon ride and stuff. She goes, I have these two dresses. Which one should I wear, blue or white? And
Yeah, I did ask
I'm looking
you.
at them, and I'm like, thank God she asked me. Thank God, because like the blue one looked great, but
Yeah.
just I was in white
Mind you,
already.
they're both the same dress. I just love
Yes.
it. Like the style of the dress,
Yeah.
I just love so much.
And the engagement pics, preferably she would be in white.
Yeah.
But anyways, I go, you know what? I'm feeling like the white's the way to go tonight. So she puts the white on. Thank goodness. I text her grandma. I go, all right, send the text to her now. So her grandma sends a text to Tori. Hey, we're coming around the bend. We're gonna be down at the dock soon. Meet us there.
Mm-hmm.
So Tori gets in and goes, Parker, they're coming quick. Like we gotta go. I'm like, they're ahead of schedule. We gotta get down there. Like I pretend like I don't know anything.
Yeah.
We get down there. I get down to the dock. I look over. I see Elliot like laying in the bushes. I'm like, all right,
you
perfect.
saw him before?
Yeah, I was like, all right, he's in position. You know,
Yeah.
I don't want to be conspicuous. I don't want to like tip her off.
Yeah.
And then I get there and I realize that she's holding just a big bundle of stuff. And I was like, so I take it from her in the most awkward way possible. I go set it down. And she goes, what are you doing? And I was like,
I remember I was like so
my heart's
confused.
racing. I'm like, what am I doing? The box too. The box is big. Like the ring box is
Yeah, wait,
big.
where was it?
Yeah, and I had to hide it. So I didn't know if I should put it in my back pocket, in my front pocket, because it pokes out of my front pocket so far. And so this whole time, I also had a jacket I was bringing along. It was wrapped up in the jacket.
Oh.
And so it was wrapped up. I set the stuff down. I put it in my hand, and I hide it behind my back. I go to her, and I'm like, give me a hug. Because I don't want her to see that I'm hiding something. So now it's behind her back. I'm giving her a hug. Now she can feel my chest. My voice is like shaky. I'm like, I love you. Saying all this stuff to her, and she's like, you're being so weird right now. I was like, yeah, I know.
I didn't say that.
So I get down on my knee. It's kind of hard because of my double hip surgery 2 months prior.
Yeah.
So I get down on the knee, propose, and
then
then
after
after
that,
that,
talk
I just
for
feel
too long, which I was.
Well, I would have cried, and I don't want to be crying too much in these pictures. It's all always back to that. But I like get it all out, and then I'm just so relieved after. I'm just like, oh, it was like the most nervous I've ever been in my life for no reason. Like I know she's gonna say yes. That's not the point. It's nerve wracking.
Parker's like still freaking out, nervous as I'm just like jumping. I remember jumping up and down on the dock, and you're like, I'm just so happy.
Yeah. So then Elliot was there, took some more pictures of us. We go over to the little bar, and then I surprised her with her parents being there 2 days early, my parents being there.
That was so great.
Her grandparents, blah, blah, blah. We see everybody, go to dinner. At the end of the day, that's the engagement proposal story.
That's our story. Yep. Very fun day. Good job.
Thanks. The
best surprise ever.
I'm proud of myself for setting it up, but I had a ton of help from her mom, her grandparents, just like a bunch of people.
You made it perfect.
Yeah.
And you see so much of like girls that know these days, and they're like getting ready because I think I'm gonna get engaged. Like I don't know.
It's crazy that she didn't know.
It really is crazy.
Because there was, I don't know, she could have gotten tipped off in so many different ways.
Thank you guys so much for listening, watching from wherever you are. And if you are on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe, like, drop a comment. If you're on Spotify, please give us a follow, comment, and engage in any way, no matter how you're listening. So thank you again for watching, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget our budget template in the description everywhere. And we hope to see you in the next episode. Life's short.
Stay tall.